عظيم. My dear children, dear sisters and brothers, I'm going to deliver an amana first, and then I will start my khutbah, which is entirely for the children. The amana, first of all, is a salam and a greeting from your brothers and sisters in Trinidad and Tobago and Guyana and all the Caribbean islands. They have given me this amana, knowing that I live in this great city. And there I met people who love Islam, who were so thirsty for the knowledge of the Quran and Sunnah. And alhamdulillah, it was a great revival of the ummah. And with that, I am giving you their salam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Now for the children. I know whether you like it or not. It's that statement you like to put on the side and you don't want to hear it, but I'm going to say it anyway. Summer is almost over. I said it. And you know that. And you know that by next Friday, you may not be able to attend Jumu'ah at the Islamic Center. And because of that, I would like this khutbah to leave with you 10 pieces of advice if time allows. If time does not allow, then maybe I can summarize the others very quickly, but I would like to tell you what I told my son yesterday. And here I go. And I want you to open your ears and your hearts and to listen carefully and try to memorize the gist of those 10 pieces of advice. Because if you take them and follow them, inshallah, you will have a wonderful year ahead of you. Number one, you are going to go into an upper class. You may be going from public school to high school. You may be going from grade 6 to grade 7, grade 3 to grade 4. But you are going to go into a different group. Some of the faces will be familiar to you. Others will be new faces. My advice to you, do not fall for the first person who comes to you trying to convince you that she is your friend, that he is your friend. You have to be selective. You have to know how to select your friend. Don't just go for that which just looks good. You may need to get help from your parents to select that friend, because your selection of that friend will determine who you are. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and remember this, said, show me who your friend is and I will tell you who you are. That's not me. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, so your friend is you. So you'd better select the friend that does not bully you, that does not say bad words, that does not bully others, that does not ask you to try this or try that, knowing that what that friend may ask you to try is unlawful, illegal, improper. Do not just go with that person who tells you, come on, let's chill, when you know that you have work to do. You should know that on the day of judgment, you may mention the name of that so-called friend by the name in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by the name. Let us listen to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us. I'm still in advice number 1. Let us listen to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us in Surah number 25 of Al-Quran Al-Kareem. Surah Al-Furqan, the criterion. وَيَوْمَ يَعَضُّ الظَّالِمُ عَلَى يَدَيْهِ يقول يا ليتني اتخذت مع الرسول سبيلا يا ويلتى ليتني لم أتخذ فلانا نيم خليلا يا ليتني لم أتخذ فلانا خليلا لقد أضلني عن الذكر بعد إذ جاءني وكان الشيطان للإنسان خذولا. I'll stop here, but I'm coming back in another advice. But let us stop here. Those are 3 ayat. And listen, children. Listen, this is serious thought about who your friends should be. Select yes, no, 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 yes, no, 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 no. Why am I saying so many times no? Because the reality is you may have to say 10 times no before you will say 1 time yes. That's okay. And the thing is not in how many friends you have, but how many good friends you will keep. Because a friend is someone who will not dump you if you make a mistake. A friend is someone who will accept you when you are feeling tired. A friend is someone who will stand by your side when you are speaking the truth, even though that truth is not popular among, well, you know that they call them the popular ones. And you know who the popular ones at school are. The popular ones for the girls, you know, they are the ones who dress in a certain way. They are the ones who talk in a certain way. They are the ones who make people laugh. And the same, but not everything applies to the boys. They have their own ways. They are the ones who show themselves to be too masculine. They are the ones who talk about adventures that you know are lies. But they want to show that they are older than their age. They are the ones who bully others. These are not friends. Because on the day of judgment, you will stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and because of the mistake of choosing, you will be standing waiting in line for your audience with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you've heard what happened to others before you, and you know it's going to come to you, so you start to, you know when someone is nervous, when someone is scared, if you make the wrong choice on purpose, you will be biting your hands, and you will say, only if I had chosen the less popular path of the messenger, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It is not popular to say, I'm sorry, I have to go and do my salat. Come on, man. You know, this movie, if we do not get tickets for the 6:30 to 8:30 or 9, we may not be able to see it. So what? So what? Would you rather miss Maghrib Salat or bite your hands on the day of judgment? What would you rather do? Salat? Oops, I almost entered into another piece of advice. I'm coming to it. Back to the issue of friends. You will say, only if I had not chosen X, Y, Z. You will mention that person by name. That person, with the shaitan of that person, swayed me from the straight path. And shaitan does not keep his promise. That's advice number 1, friends. Advice number 2. Because I mentioned shaitan in no particular order, I want you, number 2, to be careful of an entity that is real, that is following you without you seeing that entity. And that entity is so powerful. And I mentioned something about that entity that I'm going to repeat today in advice number 2, again in no particular order. And that entity is Shaitan. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us in Surah Al-A'raf, إِنَّهُ يَرَاكُمْ هُوَ وَقَبِيلُهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا تَرَوْنَهُمْ. Allah told us about this powerful entity that you can overcome if you will follow certain advices that are easy for you to follow if you want to. And Allah told us, Shaitan can see you, but you cannot see Shaitan. And imagine if you are fighting a battle with some wrestling. Imagine if there is a wrestling match and the fictitious scenario is that your enemy in this match cannot be seen. That enemy can get at you and can wrestle you to the ground if you're not careful. Shaitan is like that. You cannot see, but he can see you. And remember what I mentioned from Surah Ibrahim, maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago, I can't remember, maybe 3 weeks ago. وَقَالَ الشَّيْطَانُ لَمَّا قُضِيَ الْأَمْرُ إِنَّ اللَّهَ وَعَدَكُمْ وَعْدَ الْحَقِّ وَوَعَدْتُكُمْ فَأَخْلَفْتُكُمْ وَمَا كَانَ لِي عَلَيْكُمْ مِنْ سُلْطَانٍ إِلَّا أَنْ دَعَوْتُكُمْ فَاسْتَجَبْتُمْ لِي فَلَا تَلُومُونِي وَلُومُوا أَنفُسَكُمْ مَا أَنَا بِمُصْرِخِكُمْ وَمَا أَنْتُمْ بِمُصْرِخِي. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. On the day of judgment, Shaitan, after everything is over, after he has done everything he could, because he made a promise, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala kicked him out of Jannah, he said, I need to mention, Allah allowed it because he is the most difficult test for us, that he is going to follow all human beings and they try to bring them on his side to be with him in the hellfire. And then on the day of judgment, after everything is over, after he's done everything, he is going to say, wait a minute, God gave you the right promise. I promised you and I broke my promise. I know that. I know that. All I did is that I called you to my side and you answered my call. So don't blame me. Blame yourselves. I am not going to save you, nor can you save me. This is advice number 2. Be careful. Number 3, you know that there's something called GPS. Number 3, try to remember them. Try to remember them. When I see you in the hallway outside after Salat, I'm going to ask some of you, so don't run away from me, to repeat them back. Remember them. Number 1, your friend. Number 2 is Shaitan. Be careful. Number 3, remember GPS. GPS. If you know the address of Jannah and you want to go to Jannah, you plug the address of Jannah, it will tell you follow Quran and Sunnah. If you want to go to Jannah, plug in the address and it will tell you follow Quran and Sunnah. You will get to Jannah. Follow Quran and Sunnah. Live your life according to Quran and Sunnah. Even though it's not popular, but it's the right thing. Do not rush your visit to the toilet at school. Do not use the facilities by getting so excited to leave, and then that little bit of urine is in your clothes. Remember, you have to pray. Don't say, but my clothes are not. Yes, it was your fault. Use the facilities properly. Make wudu properly. Try to learn what Quran and Sunnah teach you. To follow them, even though people may call you names. They may call you you are no popular, it doesn't matter. You want to go to Jannah, you have to pay the price, and you have to know the address properly, and you have to follow Quran and Sunnah. Did I say Quran and Sunnah? Advice number 4 is Quran. 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 Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, remember I told you I'm coming back to ayah number 4 from surah number 25 Al-Furqan. This is the ayah. وقال الرسول يا رب إن قوم اتخذوا هذا القرآن مهجورا. On the day of judgment, as Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is listening to what is going on between us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is going to explain, Ya Allah, my ummah or certain members of my ummah knew about the Quran, but they ignored it. They did not read it. They did not study it. They did not follow it. So I would like to give you advice number 4. Please remember that. Make it a routine. I remember from my childhood, I did it. I did it, and it worked wonders. Wonders. Every day, no matter how far behind I am in my homework for school, no matter what. And Allah injected barakah into my time. No matter what, I would read 1 page of the Quran, no matter what. No matter what. 1 page of the Quran, and many times I would memorize that 1 page. I would study later that 1 page of the Quran. The Quran was the first thing I would do before I would continue my work. So try to use this advice. 1 page of Quran. You don't want to make it one page. Make it half a page. But do not start anything if you do not start with Quran. Advice number 5, do not ever say, I know. And you know, I said that before. I'll tell you to who you would say, I know. Quite often, when your parents talk to you about anything and everything, you just look at them and say, I know. And you call. And you continue. And you don't even stop to listen to them. You just say, I know. See, I can see you smiling because you can relate to that. Don't ever repeat that. Going to school. Advice number 5, do not look, or sometimes you don't even look at your parents. You just say, I know. And if they repeat something which you could have known very well, but they repeat it, because you know why? Because their love to you is infinite. They repeat their maintenance advice to you. So if you get so bored of them, then you are going to pay the price. You know, there's a story, you might have read it on the internet, but I'd like to mention it anyway, very short story. You know, a very old man was sitting with his son on a bench at a park. And that old man wanted to remind his son of a fact. So that old man looked at his son and he said, son, what is this? He said, it's a tree. After 30 seconds, son, what is this? He said, it's a tree. Son, what is this? It's a tree. 30, son, what is this? It's a tree. Can't you stop? Don't you understand? You keep repeating and repeating and repeating. Oof, what is this? He said, son, when you were young, you asked me about things so many times. And every time you asked, I would answer, and answer, and answer with a big smile on my face. Now that I am old, and I'm asking you a question, you got so tired of me. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Al-Quran Al-Kareem, in Surah number 17, Surah Al-Isra, Surah Bani Israel, وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّاهُ وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. Be kind to your parents. Advice number 6. Don't build, destroy. Don't say, I had enough. I'm going to continue life as usual. You know what I mean? I mean the following. You know, in Ramadan, and maybe one more year, we are going to live Ramadan, all of it during summer break. You know, in Ramadan, we did salat, we did siyam, we did everything. And then Ramadan was over. How are you today compared to the way you were in Ramadan? You know something? Advice number 6 is what every doctor tells his patient who comes to him, whether it's a physician comes to him with fever and fatigue and everything, and the doctor says, take this antibiotics 3 times a day for 10 days. Then the patient will take the prescription, gets the medication, then after 3 days, the patient is feeling fine, so the rest of the pills are forgotten somewhere in the closet until we see them after 6 years and we dump them in the toilet because we forgot about them, but we forgot what happened 3 weeks, maybe sometimes 4 weeks after we stopped taking the antibiotics. Because we said we feel good, we feel fine, and we stopped. We didn't listen to the doctor. You know what happens? The first few pills, the 9 pills you took in the first 3 days, they killed lots of bacteria, but these are the weak bacteria. Now, the strong bacteria, they were not enough to attack again, so you felt fine. But then they started to grow inside of you. And when they had the opportunity to attack again, they did. You know why? Because you did not listen to the doctor. You did not continue to take all the medication to allow your immune system to take over. You know, there are many Muslims who take the pills of Ramadan and they stop. Even though Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, continue until the next season. And that's why in our lives there are seasons of ibadah. So do not stop taking the antibiotics after Ramadan. Otherwise you're feeling fine, but you know, with the first challenge, you will get sick again until you take antibiotics next Ramadan. This is advice number 6. Continue to live like you were in Ramadan. I will come to the other 4 advices in the second khutbah. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم فيا فوز المستغفرين. Make dua Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will accept our dua. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. الحمد لله وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. My dear children, again, my sisters and my brothers, it is very important. These advices are not only for the children. They are for all of us. They are for all of us. So don't say this is not for me. It's for all of us. Shaitan attacks everybody. Quran is for everybody. Our parents may be alive and with us while we are out of school. And we really need also to know who our friends are. We need to be very careful. Piece number 7. Number 7, advice. Listen carefully. Your time is very important for you to manage properly. So come school days, you need to have good time management. Do not hibernate and play until 11 o'clock before the day of the exam, and then you rush to your father, to your mother and say, I need your help. To cram things into your brains one night before will not help you. The same thing as some people think that we can wait and have, quote unquote, fun, and not to pray, not to do this, not to do this, until we are old, and we think we may stay until we are old before we die. Who told you that? Death happens to people with old age. You cannot just wait, because you may not be able to understand the whole extent. That is why one of the 7 categories of people who will be protected by the shadow of Allah on a day when there's no other protection but His is شَابٌ نَشَأَ فِي عِبَادَةِ اللَّهِ سُبْحَانَهُ وَتَعَالَى. If you will grow with following Quran and Sunnah, being a good Muslim, so try very hard to manage your time properly. Advice number 8, be careful. Be careful. The swimming pool we are swimming in is polluted. Is polluted. And you may catch an infection anytime. Either you get out of that pool, and we can, because we have to swim. We are like fish swimming in order to survive. But the ocean and the pool, wherever we are swimming, is polluted. And we are going to contribute to the cleansing. If we cannot clean it, we have to protect ourselves as much as we can. Meaning, the internet is not for bad sites that are filling all the sites. Be careful. Be careful what you choose. Be careful how you visit and what you do. And with advice number 7, make sure that you do not spend all your time just playing games on the internet. Advice number 9, your family, your brothers and your sisters love you. Your parents love you. Please, let us not be caught in the web of the iPhone family. You know what I mean? The iPhone family, where everybody, now they don't talk to each other. Everybody is somewhere on the iPhone. Do not use it unless you need it. This is advice number 9. And the last advice I want to leave with you. You would say, you forgot it. No, I did not. I left it to be the one that I hope you will never forget. And that is your salat. Your salat. Don't say that I am too busy now. That I used to have time during summer, but now I don't have the time. You know, I want to tell you something, and that would say it all. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ was breathing his last. He was in the throes of death. He was so sick and weak. He asked, you know, his cousin who was in the same room looking at what is happening to open the curtain in the compartment of Aisha. He hardly was able to look outside, and he said, As-salat, as-salat, muru Aba Bakrin, falya'umma bin nas. He said, salat. Don't forget salat. Ask Abu Bakr to lead salat. He was dying. And what's on his mind was salat. Because the first thing we will be asked about on the day of judgment, wherein if we pass the test, we will pass. Everything else is salat. If we don't, then it's failure. And that is salat. Salat. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم اغفر لنا ذنوبنا وخطايانا وإسرافنا في أمرنا وكفر عنا سيئاتنا. اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه، وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. اللهم علمنا من ديننا ما جهلنا، وذكرنا منه ما نسينا، وكن معنا ولا تكن علينا. عباد الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. اذكروا الله العظيم يذكركم، وادعوه يستجب لكم، ولذكر الله أكبر، والله يعلم ما تصنعون. وأقم الصلاة.